this file. This file has the instructions for the lab and also the code that you will be referring to. So let us know if you find some issues with that. And then meanwhile, we can look at the problems that people are facing with the setup thing. So me and Devashish are here, and we'll look at the queries uh, with related to the setup first, and then after some time we can go with the kind of questions that we have put up in the assignment. So you all are welcome to go through the lab assignments.
Ma'am, you said champ sim also, champ sim folder in which that simulator is. So if we already have that, that is not required now.
Yes, certainly for task 1.1 and 1.2, you can just refer to the ChamSim files that you already have with you.
Mm.
And after that, what else is needed, we'll let you know. So you
Okay.
can start with this. Yes.
Yasika, maybe a better idea is, you may share your screen with the assignment PDF open.
Okay, okay, sure. Yes, I can do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that will be a bit better. If anyone has any issues, they can directly refer, or they can tell you
Sure, sure.
directly through that.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, yes, let me just open the folder. Yeah, I'll share my screen. So is my screen visible?
Yeah. So
Okay,
go
okay,
for the
okay, great.
PDF.
Yes, yes. So, okay, so this is the folder. Once you extract the tar file, so these are the files that you'll find there. So I'm going with the PDF first. In the PDF, you will find task 1.1 and 1.2, and then there are two more tasks, that is 2.1 and 2.2. So for task 1.1 and 1.2, you need these two files, this task 1 and task 2. So task 1 is for task 1.1 and task 2 is for task 1.2. Okay. And after that, for task 2.1 and 2.2, here you need some prefetcher files, right? So for task 2.1, certainly the files that you already have in your ChamSim folder, that is enough. For task 2.2, um, in the prefetcher folder, you will find a file named next line
Maybe
image.
Jessica, we can take it at that level, right? Let them first finish the first few
Sure.
parts, right? Otherwise, it will be a bit overwhelming for them.
Yes, yes, sure, sure, yes. So, yeah, so
So try for the first two tasks. Once you are done, we can go for the next two tasks, right?
yes, 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 definitely, yes. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah.
Just go for page one and then stick to that. So if they have any clarifications that they need, they can just ask.
Yes, sure, sure.
Even in the new ChamSim folder that you supplied, I'm getting the same error. Something is
Um,
epic.
Now you
oh,
are able to simulate single core or not?
No, I'm not able to build the thing only.
Oh, actually, I think this is the issue with the deprecated thing, right? So this is a pin related issue. You are not able to generate the traces itself. So yeah, so Devashish, if you could look into it. Otherwise, we can just provide you a command if that also not help. Um,
No, so
but
in a different pin version that doesn't help.
um,
I have used the latest pin version actually.
latest as in
See, I just clarify. I think you should use 3.17 because I was also using the latest version and facing the same issue. So then I used 3.17 and it resolved the issue.
Okay, cool. Then try it out.
Okay.
yes, yes, sure, sure. Thanks for clarifying. So I myself have tested all these things with 3.15. I did not check for 3.17.
It all depends on various things. So uh,
Sir,
Yes.
actually, it is already written in the GitHub repository that pin has some issues with other Linux versions.
yeah.
So I've written this in the document itself in the guide. So please check that out.
Ma'am, in the fourth line of second step, there is written generate traces to access array size starting from 4 KB to 8 KB.
Yes.
How will I put that 4 KB to 8 KB therein?
So it is reading command line argument, right? The program. So you just need
Uh,
to provide, just provide 12 and 13 and so on for the array size. Like 12 stands here for 4 KB, right? 10 to the power, 2 to the power 12 kind of thing.
okay, so I will put only 12 or 13. It will.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
See, I'm using that 12 with the command line argument of with that executable for running that executable, and it is taking much time. Is it normal or I'm doing wrong?
Just wait for 5 minutes. If it still takes that long, then maybe you should interrupt the execution and check the result file. Most
Okay.
probably, if it is stuck in an infinite loop, then the error would be present in that result file itself, that the file format is incorrect or something. Just wait for 5 minutes.
But the executable is correctly
Yes, yes,
made.
it's running. Yes, this is one of the problems with ChempSim. If your file format is not correct, then it will be stuck in an infinite loop. Just wait for
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay. Okay, sir. I created executable with the name dot out as extension. Name is same but dot out as extension. Is it that's why it is taking time?
No, okay. So, are you talking about the trace generation step or the running step of the Jamsim?
First one, that second now generate traces using.
Okay, okay. So,
So
is it
in that, I just execute that executable and put 12 as a command line argument, what you were saying. So
It should not take that much of time. Wait, maybe I can share a command that I use. I don't know why it's taking so much of time. Wait, let
I
me
just
just.
use dot slash and name of that executable.
Yes, yes, that is it. हाँ, उतना ही करना है, and after that you just have to put the command line argument. Like let's say if
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
putting
yeah,
12. So
yeah,
yes, yes.
yes, ma'am.
So are you still not able to generate the traces?
No, trace generation will come after. Now I just try to execute that dot out file what I created after making all.
Can you
Oh,
share your
okay.
screen so that will be clear?
Okay, okay, I get it. So there is a while loop. I think he didn't go through the code. So there is a while loop which is running forever. So executing will take time. So you don't need to execute it. That code is fine. That code is tested. You just create the
Okay.
traces for that.
I
Yes.
do not need to execute that, no.
No, 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 no. Don't execute it.
So
Yeah.
because you tell that you said that you have to put 12 in command line argument, that's why I was doing it. It's
Oh,
okay.
okay, okay. Yeah, so that is for generating the traces. Yes, yes. That is why
Yes.
it is taking time. Yeah.
So just to be sure, we have to run the same pin thing for log sizes from 12 to 23, right? We have to run it, I think, 10 times. Am I right? Or
Yes, 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 exactly. Yes, it's
yeah.
just that the earlier you were running it for Hello World program. Now we have provided the .c file, and for that you have to generate the traces and using the same pin. Everything is
Yeah, okay.
same. Yeah.
Just to be clear, when specifying the number of traces to generate, we have to give 2 million, right?
2 million. Yeah, I think that will be enough. But maybe I think I ran it for 10 million. I guess. It's for generating traces, right? Yes, I think I ran it for 10 millions. But yes, you can take it with 2 millions as well. I think that will be enough.
For generating
The
the
file should
traces
be
in
really large though, right? That's normal, right?
Sorry.
The trace
So,
file would be really large. Is that normal?
yes, yes, it's normal. Yeah, trace file will be large. Yeah.
see what I can infer is that the command for trace generation, that was n underscore trace, in that if I have to check for 4 KB, then I have to put 12 there, right, instead of n underscore trace, because that step of 2 million using 10 million and skipping 2 million, that is after that, right?
Uh, N underscore
Yasika.
I did not get. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. See, I think because of online, it's not becoming that easy. So
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest, you can just show it through your laptop and anyway you are sharing your screen, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Just
Yeah.
just say that, okay, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three, like that, right? So that they will
Um,
get a clarity.
mm.
It may be the case that they are actually struggling with something pretty trivial, but we are not able to get it.
Sir, I think he's stuck with the he's talking about the ChempSim guide actually. Can you open Yashika, can you open the ChempSim guide?
Chamsim guide. Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his issue is
I'll ha
probably from there.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I can open it. Yes, yes. Wait, just give me a second. Yeah. Yes. Is it visible, Devashish? Or let
Yes,
me
yes,
know
yes,
if
it's visible. It was in step number 7. Can you go down?
yes,
He's talking
sure.
about this issue. The command for pin actually.
Um,
It's
okay.
highlighted, right? It's highlighted entries, then and everything. Just above.
Okay, okay. Just let me know, okay, where to stop. This is the end of the file. So I'm
No, 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 no,
moving on.
no. Actually, it's step
Is
7.
that
Step 7. Step 7 of generating traces. The command below step 7.
Yasika, go
okay, okay.
up.
I
So
get
there
it.
are
I get
multiple
it. Yes,
steps,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
one,
This
here.
one,
two
this
to
one.
It's
seven,
here.
right?
Yes, yes, yes. Sure. Yeah. Okay, so this is the command. Yeah.
Yeah, so what was the issue, by the way? Who was asking the question?
Yeah. Someone was asking the question. Yeah. Yes, please let us know the question regarding n underscore trace.
I was asking, like, it is given to check for different cache sizes ranging from 4 KB to 8 MB. Okay. Now 4 KB here it shows as 12 in the above document, is it? So
Oh,
instead,
okay.
just I'm
No, this n trace has nothing to do with the command line argument that you'll be putting there. Because
uh,
this n trace is a flag here, okay?
okay.
And so let's say this hello world dot out is
No, no,
written
tell
here.
them to read. Tell them to read. It's written entrace need to be set to the number of instruction to the trace, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so they should actually go through it carefully.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I think that there
How do we
was
skip the
confusion.
first 10 million instructions then in that case?
Actually, I don't think you need to
Yeah,
skip any instructions for this case, I guess. Right, there is no need to skip, right, Yashika?
yeah, I think there'll be no
These are small
difference
programs,
as
right?
such. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
there
yes,
is no
yes.
need to skip the instructions to trace.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Excuse me. Here, in the command on the top of the page, should we give our the inputs over here hello world.out after hello world.out?
So hello world dot out would be
Like
would be
in our
replaced.
case, it's that cache1, cache2 dot c files.
Yes, yes. So yes, so hello dot world dot out will be replaced by the object file of your program, and then after that 12, 13, something like that will come, which will be the command line argument to that program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have almost spent half an hour.
Hello.
So anyone still struggling with the first step, setting it up, running?
Hello. Sir, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hi.
Sir, can you see in the chat window? I am posted one screenshot. It is showing that building failed, sir. For me.
You do not have GCC installed, it says.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Myself, Maruti. When I try to execute this one, whatever you are showing, like /pin -t, so it is showing that the no file or directory. I try to export these path variables, like I set them in the etc/environment.
Okay.
But still it is giving some error, like file not found.
Okay, if you have put it in your path variable, then you do not need the / variable. I mean the characters in front of pin, because when you type pin, it's already gonna be present in your path directory, right? It's gonna search for the pin directory itself.
So I need not put that path to.
No. I mean before pin there is a / character, right? You don't need to put this if you have already put the directory of pin inside your path variable, environment variable.
No, I did not put path pin path in the path variable, but I put path to champsim and path to executable.
No. In this case, you'll need to provide an absolute path for champsim.
Okay, so then whatever you have given in the red color, where shall I upload them? Shall I not include them or in the path environment?
Yeah, you don't need to include them in a path environment. See, because the reason why I've written it as a variable, because in different systems you're gonna put the path to champsim.
So
I
we need
mean
to provide
champsim in different
absolute
directories, right?
value there, the path.
You need to replace it with your absolute directory value of wherever you put your champsim.
I've been struggling with that. Like I thought, like I should add it to that. Right then, yeah. Thanks. I let me try this and come back to you. Thanks.
Sure.
I'm getting an assertion failed. What should I do?
Can you share a screenshot in the chat, please?
Yeah, just a second.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, in the file you have shared today, the 1.11, the one of with the heading 1.1. So trace generation is successful.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so we have to run ChamSim, right, to see the IPCs and all these things.
Yes. So did you try before to build and run the binary for ChamSim?
For the Hello World one?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. That was built successfully.
Yeah, so that is all that you need to do for this step as well. I mean, you just need to provide the traces of the program that we have provided, and rest everything will be the similar. Rest everything will be same. You just build the ChamSim binary and you run it. That is all.
But I couldn't find any argument for like the initial part, like going from 4 KB to 1 KB. Is it not part of 1.1?
Yes, it is part of 1.1, but it will see, this is when you are generating the traces for the program. At that time, you have to provide this command line argument, that what will be the size of the array, right? So that is all. After that, for building the ChamSim and running the ChamSim binary, everything will be the same. It's just that the trace file that you are providing, that will change. That is it. So, but here you don't need to provide the argument that you are saying 12 or 13. Did you get my point?
Yeah, some of it. I'll just double check.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
See, everyone, you should actually ask why we are doing what we are doing. So we are actually trying to find out, different effects of data structure size, and we are trying to see their IPC numbers. So there are two parts to this entire exercise. First part is to generate traces for different kinds of, data structures or RSIs or whatever, right? So that part is completely different from the simulation part. We are doing simulation because we can't create a chip to check whether, for this data structure, this cache will do better, worse, or whatever, right? So for the first part, you have to just generate traces and traces for different data structure size, right? 4 KB, 12 KB, whatever, right? And then once you have generated the traces, then you should forget about trace generation part. I can see that most of the queries are actually mixing the trace generation with the simulation part. Simulation is actually reading the trace, where the trace is nothing but a sequence of instructions, whatever we have been discussing from last 2 days. So the trace file, actually the pin tool is an instrumentation tool which provides all the instructions which are part of a program, right? Add, load, store, blah, 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 right? Now you are actually generating those traces, and then you are feeding that particular trace to ChamSim, saying, okay, if these are the instructions my program generate, what will be the behavior of my cache? What will be the IPC for this particular working set, right? So those are the questions we are asking. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would like to clarify one thing, since there are quite a few students who are facing this issue during trace generation. Ashika, can you just show the pin command?
Yeah, sure. Let me go to that screen. Yes.
Yeah, so the few students are facing assertion failed error. Just for them, after, for example, you have compiled your program, say hello world.out, then give a space, then you need to provide a command line argument here. For example, for 4 KB, you need to provide 12. For 8 KB, you have to write 3 or so on. In this case, hello world, in the example, hello world doesn't take any command line arguments, so I didn't write it here. But if your program takes command line arguments, then after your binary, then you need to write a space, then write the command line argument in the pin command itself.
Okay, so we will go further with
It's
file.
taking a lot of time. Even after 5 minutes, it is not coming out.
Yeah, it takes time actually. Depending on your system, it might take quite some time.
Okay. N trace value, I have given it as almost 10 lakhs. Well, that's what is.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Right. I'll just wait for that.
By the way, if you're generating more than one trace, then you can, execute the command as a background process. Just provide ampersand after your command. It'll run as a background process.
So I am assuming all of you are using laptop with multiple cores. So whenever you are using any command line commands through your terminal, just put a ampersand at the end. It will create a background process, and there's no need to wait for one process to get over. You can run multiple processes. Maybe Devasis, you can just copy paste in the chat box. That will
I'm
be
writing
easy.
it
Maybe.
self now. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
In place of n trace, can we put only 10 lakhs, or is it required another things?
No, this is fine. You can just put 10 lakhs. Yeah.
Along with command line argument, no?
Yeah, the command line argument will come here after. See this hello world, this .o file. I mean, your object file is here, right? After that, you need to put the command line argument.
Okay. And it will be only one or two. Means like one command line argument or two command line argument we have to put. Like 4 or 8 KB, you are saying.
So no, wait. So you can put at a time, you can put only one command line argument. Okay. So if you are generating trace for let's say for 4 KB, then you need to put 12 there. Then again, this whole command will be executed for 13 KB or like that, 18 KB. Sorry, 18 KB array size. So for that, the command line argument will again change. So that is how it will go on for different files, right?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
And now trace file is I have trace file for 4 KB and 8 KB both. We have to put in XZ format or GZ format.
So you have to put it in XZ format. Wait, it will be okay. So it is specified here GZ. Yeah, you can provide the GZ format. Yes.
And both will be inside, and I have to write name of both the traces one after one. GZ, trace 1, then trace 2, like this now.
You can give any names like as per your will, but like to identify that which file belongs to which array size, right? Because accordingly your result will differ in the result file.
I was saying that inside the .z now we can have only one file or two files at a time.
Only one file. Try to first understand.
Okay, sir.
So you should actually start asking these questions. Why are you providing one file? Why not two file? Generated trace for one program, right? So for that program, what is the behavior in terms of IPC, cache hit rate, cache miss rate that you want to investigate?
So sir, but you were saying that from 4 KB to 8 KB.
So once, see, hang on. You are actually mixing everything. It's becoming khichdi.
Yes, sir.
Do one step at a time. For 4 KB, do the command, do whatever is instructed, put an enter. Once it is done, the result will be there for 4 KB. Similarly, for 8 KB, use the 8 KB trace file that you have generated, press a enter. You will get the results for 8 KB.
Okay, sir.
Right? If you provide traces for all, that's not the semantic for the simulator. That the simulator takes only one trace file and it runs in a single core format, right? It assumes that there is a single processor which is executing the instructions which are provided by this trace file.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so one at a time.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So for that one, we want the IPC and for each value of like whether it is 12, 13, 14 or what are the log sizes, we want the IPC corresponding to each of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. With whom should we share that?
With yourself. Go and see it for yourself.
Yes, I found out which ones where there's a transfer happening.
Okay, so you may look at the reason. Yes, that was the task.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yes. It's enough, but also you can verify the size for what size you have got from the difference in IPC and what actually is the size of the cache.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you can look and let us know if you don't know how to find out the size for a particular cache level.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Nikhil. For the task 1, point number 4, run the generated traces with a warm up of 1 million simulation.
Yes.
1 million. So, I mean, I don't get how to do it. I do the command line run champsim with my tracer file, and how to, add this attribute of 1 million instruction.
So did you run the binary for Hello World program as the bomb?
Yes,
you have done, right?
Generated the traces. Traces generated.
No, trace generation is different, but here the step is to run the binary with the generated traces. So have you done that before for the Hello World program?
I generated the traces, then I go to the champsim and build the champsim, and now I'm in the run champsim step.
Yes, so there is a command to run the ChampSim binary. So you need to have that command. If you can just look at the GitHub repo from where you downloaded the ChampSim, you'll find it there. You just need to run it. Let me know if you're not able to run it.
Yeah, maybe better
Hello.
screenshot if you're struggling with something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I had answered a similar doubt in the post quite a few minutes back. You can check that post as well.
So how many of you are done with task 1.1? Is there anyone who is done or all are struggling?
So I think I'm done, but I have a doubt. I don't think I'm allowed to share screen. Can I get the?
It's okay. It's not an exam, right? So, oh, okay. In terms of logistics, I don't know.
Maybe I think we can wait for other people to
Yeah.
finish. Yes. Maybe
We can
he can
discuss
proceed.
about it maybe after half an hour or so. 3:45 we can discuss.
No, I have a question.
Where can we find the actual size of the cache?
Yes, of course you can find it. It's mentioned there, right? In ChampSim file, inc /cache.h. So there you'll find it.
Yeah, my values are exactly half of what is mentioned there. So that's my question.
Exactly half of what is mentioned there. Okay, maybe we can take this queries later. You can proceed with task 1.2. You just have to do the similar things. It will be easier for you once you are done with task 1.1. So yeah, let other
Quick
people
question.
finish. Yeah,
Sorry
sure.
for interrupting. Yeah, so I was able to build traces from 12 to 23 log sizes, but when I do /run ChampSim, it doesn't stop executing.
Run ChampSim does not stop executing.
Yeah.
Can you interrupt the execution and then check the result file? Most probably your format is incorrect, I guess, which caused ChampSim to go into an infinite loop. Can you open the text file of the results?
Okay. It says reached end of trace for core 0, and then it says repeating trace.
Then it's executing completely fine. Yeah.
Warm-up instructions are 1 million or more than a million. Simulation instructions are more than a million. Yeah.
Just giving just 1 million is fine. I hope you have not provided like quite a large number there for simulation instruction number.
Actually, when we ask to provide 1 million instruction, you do not need to provide 1 million in original form, like 1 with 6 zeros. Are you providing it like that?
No, I'm using the same numbers that are there on the GitHub repo. That's
Yeah,
1 and
yeah.
10.
Then
And...
it's. I mean, it'll complete after a few minutes, I guess.
Okay.
Guys, post your queries on the lab channel, not on the entire winter school general channel. So one thing that you should realize, or you should have realized, that there is a big gap between theory and practice, right? And that's the main motivation behind these labs.
Ma'am, can you show us how to look at the cache sizes from the cache.h file? I'm
So
looking at that, but there are a lot of macros defined over here. Which one should we consider?
okay, so you'll find some related to L1D cache, and then there'll be some L2C cache, then LLC cache. So kind of you just need to look at L1D, L2C, and LLC. For those, you'll find the set and ways values. That will be enough. You can just search for set and way, and then look at for the parameters corresponding to L1D, L2C, and LLC.
Shouldn't we know the line size as well?
Sorry?
A cache line size as well?
Yeah, this will be 64 bytes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, don't use the general channel. I'm repeatedly seeing queries there. It's unnecessarily, making it noisy.
So for queries related to cache size, in cache.h file, these are the parameters that you just need to look at: the set and way, number of sets and number of ways. So this is I'm telling for L1D cache. Likewise, there are for L2C cache, and there are for LLC cache also. So these are just the 3 levels of caches that you need to look at.
So I have a question. Now, when you're running it with the bimodal branch predictor and all of that, what if I want to run it on my own architecture? Let's say I have some sort of RTL thing that's going on, and I want to see how caches are being accessed with this C program, which we just generate the traces for on that, maybe something on Verilator or something like that.
So if you're in, what did you say, your infrastructure or whatever you want to run this program on?
No, let's say I have XRISC-V.
Okay, yes.
And I want to run the same traces on that, and I want to see the results on that.
So if your RISC-V architecture, it does accept traces of a certain program. In the similar way, you can provide traces for this program as well, right? I mean, I haven't run it on any RISC-V architecture, so I'm not sure how the traces will be fed to that architecture.
Well, what's the question?
Yeah, could you please repeat your question?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to tell is, let's say I want to, instead of running it on SAMPSIM and then, the bimodal branch predictor and the single code that we are generating here, I want to run it on XRISC-V.
Yeah. So I think for RISC-V, there is a tool chain, so you can directly use that, right?
Okay.
So this Intel Pin tool is only for x86. If you want to run and evaluate x86 binaries, then this is the instrumentation tool.
Okay. Is there can you tell the name if you don't mind for that?
If you just go to
RISC,
if you just go to RISC-V website, right, you will find many simulators, architectural simulators supporting RISC-V. So you compile for RISC-V ISA and then run it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, yes.
I have shared a screenshot. I am getting error unable to load chamsim_tracer.so.
Okay. I think Devashish will help you with that. So you're not able to generate the traces itself, right?
Yes, but previously I have generated for hello world with the same command.
Oh, then that will work for this program also. Did you provide the command line argument at the end? So
Yeah, I also tried with that.
also tried with that. I mean, see here when you mention the name of the program, sorry, the object file of the program, after here, like after dot out, give a space and then you provide the command line argument. So that should work if you have already generated for hello world.
I have put a 12.
After a space, right? So
Yes,
it's not working.
yes.
No, it says unable to load his trace file. I guess there is a space after chamsim tracer.so. Oh no. Can you check if the file indeed exists in your obj Intel 64 directory?
Yes, file is exist.
Then it should happen, right? Unable to load. One second. Can you try building it again? Try building it again and check running the command again.
Okay, I'm getting same error.
No. What I mean is, delete your obj 64 Intel 64 directory, then try building your tracer again from scratch. Then try to execute your pin command again.
Okay.
Sir. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, please tell. Yeah.
Ma'am, I calculated the IPC value of both the files from both the TXT files generated now for 4
Okay.
KB and 8 KB. So they are like for 4 KB it is like 0.647263 and for 8 KB it is like 0.646904.
Okay, great. So you have to generate it for more files. See, here it's mentioned here. You have to generate it till 4 MB. So it will be somewhere around 23. From 12 to 23, you have to generate it for all the numbers or all the sizes of array.
No, I generated only for 4 KB and 8 KB.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but this question requires you to do the same procedure for all the array sizes for 13, 14, 15, 16 until on 23. So
Okay.
yeah.
So ma'am, what is that fifth step? Can you tell me, means what is that ink/s.ch?
I get it. So see, in fifth step says that you'll notice the difference in IPC. You just told me IPC for 4 KB array size and 8 KB array size, right?
Yeah.
But there is not much difference. So you'll find the difference in later array sizes that you'll again generate the traces for, right? And then run the chamsim for. So there you will identify a difference in the IPC, and accordingly you will get to know the size of the array. The size of the cache as per the size of array. So that is the whole activity. Yeah. So then after that you can just validate the cache size from this file ink/cache.h because it is already defined there. Yeah.
And where it will be?
It will be inside your chamsim folder. Inside your chamsim folder. Okay. So here this ink folder, then this cache.h. Here you will find it. So like for L1D data cache, for L1 data cache, it gives some set value and way value, number of sets and number of ways. Likewise, it provides for L2C cache, which is level 2 cache, and then for last level cache. So you just have to map it up with the value that you get in your IPC values, right? The kind of difference that you get there, you will be able to relate it with the cache size, which is given here.
Okay, means all these data what you are showing right now will be automatically created.
This is a header file. This is anyway there. I mean, you don't need to do anything with that. Whatever
Okay.
you have done for 4 KB and 8 KB array size, okay,
Uh,
that all you need to again repeat for the larger array sizes, that is 14, 15, 16, ऐसे करके till 23 you have to provide the command line argument, and for all the array
no,
sizes you have to repeat the same
no,
process. Yeah.
that I understood. That I understood, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
understand what's the use of that cache.s file there. I mean, what is it doing extra? That I will do till 23. I will do definitely. But what is the use of that cache.h file and it is how it is doing the things for us?
So
Can you tell me?
yeah, so cache.h file is just a header file which has some configuration set in it, right? So the ChamSim file, so the ChamSim simulator is using some cache configurations, like how many levels of caches will be there and what will be the size of that particular level of cache. So all of that configurations are defined inside this header file. So this is
Okay.
related to ChamSim. You just need to validate the kind of result you get in your IPC, right?
Okay.
So to validate it, you will refer to this file.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I have a doubt. Like for generating a trace, like for skipping the first 10 billion instruction, how to pass argument further?
Actually, you don't need to skip any instructions for this trace.
Yeah, I mean, you can just use this particular command which is already given here. This doesn't have anything to skip. It just it just generate the traces since the beginning. So just do that. It will be enough for this program.
Okay, so yeah, and then one more doubt. What does I feel lucky parameter does?
This is a flag actually. So yeah, there is some mismatch issues. So for that, using this flag sometimes helps. That is all I know about it. Maybe Devashish, if you can add some more into it.
Okay, okay. So for this n trace value, I should give value as 2 million, right? Instead of the value provided here.
It depends actually. It depends on the number of instructions that you're warming up and simulating. So when we say that warm up for 1 billion and simulate for 1 million instructions, so total you're executing for 2 million instructions, right? So in this case, you can just put value of 2 million here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, even if they don't do that, it will repeat the traces.
It will repeat the trace from the beginning, yes.
Yeah, yeah. There will be no difference in that. Yeah. So it's already 3:36. I think this lab is still 4, right?
Yeah, they can try the rest maybe according to their convenience. So, but maybe for task 1.1 and 1.2, you can discuss at 3:45.
Okay, sure. Yes, I'll do that.
That's what I told Devasys, that it will be even too much for them. Devasys said, no, it's too easy.
Yeah.
So he has put 2.1 and 2.2.
Yes.
The main challenge is task 2.2, right? So
I
guess
don't
they
think.
can take it as a homework assignment, I guess.
Is anyone doing 2.1 or 2.2?
I'm starting 2.1. I'm
Okay,
not sure
cool.
how to change the prefetcher, like how to set the prefetcher.
It will be just in the build command where you are putting no. So instead of one no, you just need to put the IP stride value. That will be
Just
given.
read the readme. Read the readme, and it will be easy for you.
Yes, it will
Yeah.
be there. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, sir, I'm also at 1.2. It's just that we need to use a lot of cache sizes. So it is taking some time, but other
But
than
you
that,
can
yes,
parallelize. You can actually run multiple of them, assuming you are running a
there are
multi-core
already
system.
5 running, sir. There are already
Oh,
5
okay.
running.
Okay, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not like an exam that you have to finish by 4. Try it out later if you still get, if you still have queries, you can ping us. We'll be more than happy to respond.
Yes.
Sir, I have a small doubt. When we are like initializing this array, right? Are we guaranteed that all the like when the mapping happens between the virtual and physical address space, right? That the pages all will be contiguous only if that is the case will this work, right? Otherwise, it could be kind of there could be areas in which.
Yeah, we are not guaranteeing it, and in fact, the Yasika, the champion that you have provided, it's a random page allocator, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It is
Yeah,
random page allocator.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but still, I mean, the motivation behind will be served there. The purpose will be like served. The
Yeah, you will be able to see a spike, but whether you will be able to make a direct correlation, one-to-one correlation all the time, that is a question to ask.
Okay. So also for those attacks, right? You talked about before, like we have to guarantee that all the pages like the whole cache is cleared, right? So is that like practically possible?
Yeah, yeah. So whatever you are doing now, right? If you just so there is a trick. So you have to make sure that when you are accessing an array, you have to jump, and you should not access, with spatial locality. Right, so you should actually do, a of, instead of just iterating over a of I, where I is actually determined by a for loop, you should actually do a of random, but the random should be within that, let's say 4 MB boundary or 1 GB boundary or whatever, right? So you will start accessing A1, A13, A20, A29 kind of, and then eventually it will be thrust.
Excuse me, sir or ma'am, whoever. Like, I am looking at these IPC values. So until like 22, like 2 to the power 22, I am seeing some steady decline. But once I give 2 power 23, the IPC has increased very much. Like uh, as much as it would give me for 2 power 18. Like, I'm not able to understand. Is it expected?
IPC is increased, or the rate is increasing?
No, not the rate, sir. IPC has increased.
So you are saying when you increase the array size, the IPC also increased?
It followed a decline till to 22, 2 to the raise 22, but when I gave 23, 2 power 23, I think, yes, sir, it has increased. Is it expected, or maybe I've made a
What's
mistake?
the difference? What's the difference in IPC?
At 2 power 22, it was 0.07, and 2 power 23, it was 0.299.
Yeah, so there's a decrease in IPC, right? You are saying increase.
No, so it's 0.07 before, and now it's 0.29. So,
Oh, okay. So it's 4 times.
yeah, sir, more or less.
Wow. That's a miracle. That won't happen.
Okay.
I think something is wrong.
Okay.
Just double check. Yeah, that's not possible.
For the prefetcher, I can't find the IP stride prefetcher for the L1D. It's only available for the L2 cache.
Hey, there was his.
Yes, sir.
There
I'm
was.
looking at it. I'm looking at it.
I think I have muted Yasika by mistake. Yeah, if it is provided for L2, you can also do that for L2. It's not a big deal. Try it
I
out.
guess there was a mistake in our document. I guess it should be for L2C, yes.
Yeah. So just try it for L2.
Yeah, thanks.
Devasis, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, maybe we can discuss the results for next 5-10 minutes. Also, do you know how to unmute Jessica? I am unable to do it.
So I don't think we are allowed to unmute others because it would be a violation of privacy, I guess.
Okay, so I spoke a lot and I didn't know that I was muted. Okay.
That's what.
Okay, but I did not mute myself. Yes, yeah.
Actually, when I was observing the simulations, beyond a count, IPC seems to like not change. So it like, can we stop at that point? For example, for at least for next 10-15 minutes, IPC is stable up to next 5 values.
Yeah, you can correlate with that, right? So if your L1 cache size is, let's say, a few KBs, 32, 64 KBs, L2 is around 512 KB, then after that you will get, misses. And then once you cross the L3 cache size, let's say, which is up 2 MB or 4 MB, you will find that IPC is more or less the same because you are not getting hit anywhere in L1, L2, L3.
No, I meant that when, like I'm doing things parallelly. So in the .txt file I was speaking, that for every iteration, like for 5900, for 5800. So beyond, I think 5 lakh, if I would say that. Then
what is 5 lakh? The simulation instructions.
Yeah, heartbeat CPU 0 instructions. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Beyond some instructions, the IPC has started to stabilize. So can we, like stop at that point and say that yes, this is the IPC, because for next 5 value it is.
Yeah, more or less. Yes. It is okay, because these are just small programs. There is no much, data flow, control flow jump. So it's okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Yasika, maybe you can just summarize for next 5 minutes or so what was expected and what people have found out, right?
Yes, sure. Yeah. So actually I have the results here. Yes, so looking for the task 1.1. So the the question here was to find out the IPC for different array sizes, and then to relate it with the cache sizes. Like what will be the different cache sizes of different levels. So okay, so these are the 2 to the power 12 stands here for 4 KB array size, and I'm just printing out here the kind of misses that I'm getting and the IPC for that particular array size. So that is how I have related it. So yes, so beginning with array size 4 KB, and till we go okay, so yeah, so 4 KB, say, like I'm starting with 4 KB array size, and then I'm going till 2 to the power 15, which is 32 KB array size. And there is not much difference in the IPC. But after 2 to the power 15, when we go to 2 to the power 16, there is a sudden drop in this is the first drop in the IPC value. And this tells us about the size of the L1D cache. And so yeah, so L1D cache is actually 32 KB. It has eight ways, and each way is of 64 bytes, and then there are 64 sets. And this this can be like checked with the cache.h file. So this gives us the first drop in the IPC and the size for the L1D cache. Then from 2 to the power 16 to, as we go till 2 to the power 19, yes, till 19 the values are again similar in the IPC. So here is the 2 to the power 16 the IPC for array size 2 to the power 16, and then here is the IPC for 2 to the power 19, which is almost same. It's 0.21 or 0.23. And then when we go for 2 to the power 20 array size, so then again there is a IPC drop, which tells us about the L2C cache size. And then likewise, the next drop will find at 2 to the power 22 array size. So these drops the attendees must have observed in their results, and this signifies the sizes of the caches. Now, if someone is further interested, like why we are getting these cache drops, I can give a little bit of hint. This is actually coming from the number of distinct blocks that array is accessing, and this has everything to do with the program, the way the program is written. As long as our cache can accommodate those many identical blocks or those many different blocks, till that point our cache will behave in a proper way, and we'll get the similar IPC. The moment those blocks start getting overflown from a cache level, we'll see an IPC drop. So
yeah, overflown meaning evicted.
Yes, yeah.
There is no overflow. Yeah, go on.
Okay, yes. So it's kind of the yes,
it's
exactly.
Tracing. They are getting a tracing access pattern.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, so that is why we are getting this drop. So that is all. This is an abstract explanation. Like if there are some questions, we can look at little bit deeper. Like because I tried to print out the physical addresses also and like that. So there is a straight away relation between everything. So this can be looked at later. And then for the second question, which was
Yasika, I have one point to make here.
Yeah.
So whatever you have done it through ChamSim simulator, you can also do that on your laptop without a simulator. You won't be able
yes.
to see the IPC, but you will be able to see the latency difference.
Okay,
Right?
yes, yeah, definitely.
And then based on that, you will be able to make a guess that, okay, this is the cache size, this is the L2 cache size, L3 cache size in my Intel machine or AMD machine, right?
Yes,
and then
yes.
just to verify, all these informations are there in your laptop. Just do /proc/cpu info if you are using Linux OS. That will tell you the cache sizes, right? Then you can just compare that. Yeah, I was thinking it's 2 MB, and yeah, actually it's 2 MB, right?
Yes, yeah, correct.
Yeah, move on. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so then going to task 1.2. So it was very basic thing. It was everything to do with the way program is written again. So yes, wait, let me go to the latest file of it. Yes. So here actually we are just accessing 16 blocks in a continuous manner, and because the array is of type integer, and each int has four bytes in it, and then because the cache line size is 64 byte, so there will be for different 16 blocks there will be only one miss, and that was the trick to find out that in every cache hierarchy there will be only one miss. And then because the whole chunk of 64 byte will be taken from the DRAM to the L1D cache. So once the miss is generated for excess 0, which is the 0th element of the array, after that for contiguous 15 blocks everything will be a hit. So that was all. It was kind of the communication from DRAM to the caches. So that was the main motive of this exercise. I think these attendees can check these things later, and then maybe if they have some doubts, we can clarify it. So yeah, so that was all for task 1.1 and 1.2.
Okay, yeah, so 2.1, 2.2, they can try, and if they face any issue or they want to just clarify, they can just message us later.
Yes, sure. Yes. I mean, for a quick, brief explanation in 2.1, because a prefetcher is introduced and you have covered the purpose of prefetcher in the morning session. So accordingly, they'll find a benefit in the IPC. So that they have to look for. But
Hello.
I think she's on mute again.
Who is it? Yeah.
She's not muted, I guess. I guess some internet issue, maybe.
Maybe internet issue. Anyway, it's okay. You guys can check it out later.
Is that 2.1 related to hardware prefetcher?
Yeah, it's related to
We were
hardware
studying.
prefetcher. Yeah.
By the way, did anyone look at task 2.2? So do you have any doubts regarding this?
We need not reach that much.
No, you can read the question, right? You can read the question just.
Okay.
So we have 3 more minutes before we start the next session.
So I'm sorry, quick question if you were still taking questions. You earlier told that pin is specific to x86. So ChampSim isn't, right? I'm just asking.
Professor Viswa, this question was for you.
Anyone who can answer it.
I guess Professor Viswa knows more about this.
Yeah, I was just talking to Yasika. Just give me a second. Hey, please go on. Sorry. There was a query, right?
Yeah. So I was asking, you told earlier that pin is specific to x86. Intel's x86. But is ChampSim? No, it's not, right?
ChampSim is also specific to x86 because it's reading. Yeah, okay. So at a high level, it's not. As long as you will be able to write a tracer for other IC, it's perfectly fine. It's not highly dependent on a particular IC.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be able to generate tracers even for other ISAs as long as you have a good tracer which can convert, the semantics of that ISA into the ChampSim semantics.
Okay, fine.
I guess that's it. We can stop now and then we'll start the doubt clearing session. But yeah, I will highly encourage you to try all these things as per your convenience. And then if you are stuck or if you kind of face difficulty, then let us know.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, do you have any doubts related to what we covered today? By this, slides are already shared and videos are anyway, you can find it on MS Teams. Yeah.
So adding a prefetcher in my case, it didn't improve the IPC in any way.
For all the working set, is it?
Yes, sir. I'm pretty sure for all the working set.
Oh, that's kind of strange.
I seem to be getting the same results.
Okay, Devasys, what kind of program you gave? Was there any locality, any predictable access pattern? ये क्या दिया था?
Sir, no, sir. I only wrote the question for task 2.2.
Okay, so it's Yasika's thing, is it? The first one?
Sir. Yes.
So Yasika, the access patterns were kind of, with good locality. Yeah, they are ad hoc. Oh, yeah, Yasika has that issue, right? So I'm not sure. Yeah, it depends on the access pattern. If the access patterns are not regular, then prefetcher won't help. You need a sophisticated prefetcher. But you can also try with next line prefetcher. Most of the time, next line will work. Even in irregular applications.
Here the access pattern is pretty like normal, sir, because we are just incrementing by 1.
Yeah, then you should be able to see it. Maybe
I think there was a mistake in the question with, I think it was supposed to be next line prefetcher at L1D or IP prefetcher at L2C. I guess there was some mistake in this part.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Yeah, just try with simple next line. You
Next line
should be
prefetcher
able
at
to see
L1D,
the
yeah.
difference. Yeah.
Okay.
Next line prefetcher at L1D, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, at L1D.
Anyway, let's start with the doubts that you may be having. If there are no doubts, we can call it a day.
Sir, I have a doubt regarding the randomized cache set allocation, right?
Randomized caches, yes.
When we are choosing a new key, do we have to like reassign all the sets for the whole cache?
Yeah. But if you do it in one go, then that will stall the cache, right? So instead, you do it incrementally, iteratively, slowly, one by one. So you kind of start with, let's say, set number 1, then in one go you go for set number 1 to 10, then let's say 11 to 20, like that. But you are right, you have to do it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir, that's clear. So that will take a lot of time, right?
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying you can actually come up with various ways of this is just a remapping process or rekeying process, right? You can come up with heuristics to decide how can you parallelize this rekeying along with responding to requests coming from the processor, right? So it's just a trade-off. Depending on how aggressive your attacker is, you can actually come up with a empirical number or in terms of accesses, right? After every k number of accesses, you have to go for rekeying of, let's say, set number XYG.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hey, Yasika, you may stop sharing the screen.
Any question on the virtual memory?
Hey, hi, Akka.
Hi, Vishwa. Pretty silent, huh, today?
It's a two-level virtual memory, right? We are meeting through virtual platform, and then we are talking about virtual memory.
True.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, any particular reason for skipping some instructions in the beginning while generating the traces?
Hey, I think we can take those questions maybe later. We will be more than happy to respond. Maybe at least for next half an hour, we can just stick to the sessions that we had in the morning and the afternoon. And if you have any queries.
Yeah, this is about the lab that was conducted right now.
Yeah, for lab we can maybe we can take it up to 4:30, right?
Okay.
Yeah. If there are no questions, then we can call it. Okay, there are.
In the case of Java, is that binary that is created from the code, is it again converted to C code?
I can't hear you properly. I don't know about Akka.
No, it's very hard to hear.
Yeah. So could you be a bit more louder?
Yes, sir. I'm asking regarding JavaScript. The Java, when the byte strip is the byte code is generated, is it again converted back to C, or like how is it mapped to the hardware?
Orca, did you hear anything? I heard some
Yeah,
Java and
bits
after
and
that.
pieces. Yeah, bits and pieces. Java, JavaScript. I don't know who is teaching JavaScript here. What about JavaScript? I don't think we are
So I
teaching
think they were
JavaScript.
asking in Java, is the bytecode like is it compiled back using C for before it's run on the hardware or something like that?
I don't think so. Like, why you would do that? Like these different, languages, and bytecode definitely runs on the JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So that, it will interpret the bytecode and execute. And it might actually be true that the JVM might be implemented in some lower level languages. It could be C. Some amount of assembly can be used as well, but I can't say with authority that would be exactly the case. I've not actually looked through JVM's implementation, and I don't think we have been talking about that here. So Bishwa, you are teaching JVM here?
No, not at all.
So who is teaching JVM?
No, I think he just asked like that without any context. Yeah.
Okay, then it doesn't seems like there is a question. So I'll leave. You can handle the question that you have on the programming assignments in the lab.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye then. Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, if you have any question related to the lab, we can handle it and then we can call it a day.